Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the jungles of northern Guatemala to uncover a story of fire, power, and political upheaval in the ancient Maya world. It's a tale straight out of a movie involving a fiery pyramid, thousands of precious jewels, and the charred remains of a once powerful ruler. So grab your gear, because we're heading to the fascinating site of Canwitzna, known today as U. For years, archaeologists have been piecing together the complex history of the Maya civilization. We know them for their incredible pyramids, their intricate calendar, and their sophisticated writing system. But we're also learning more about their political drama, their wars, and the dramatic ways they marked shifts in power. And that's exactly what a team led by Dr. Christina Halperin from the University of Montreal stumbled upon. They were excavating a large pyramid at Uccanel, a structure that was built and rebuilt over centuries. As they carefully peeled back the layers of history, they found something completely unexpected. It wasn't a pristine royal tomb packed with treasures, but something much more dramatic. Deep within one of the pyramid's construction phases, they discovered a thick layer of ash and charcoal. Mixed within this charred deposit were the unmistakable fragments of human bones. But these weren't just any bones. They were intermingled with an astonishing collection of over 1,000 ornaments. Imagine the scene. Thousands of beads, pendants, and plaques made from shimmering green jade, the most sacred stone to the Maya. Alongside the jade were countless ornaments crafted from marine shells, items that would have been traded over long distances, signifying immense wealth and connections. There were even objects made from obsidian, a volcanic glass sharper than a surgical scalpel, and pyrite, often polished to create mirrors, believed to be portals to the supernatural world. But here's the most intriguing part. Everything was burned. The human bones, the precious jade, the delicate shells, all had been subjected to an intense fire. The intense heat had cracked the jade and blackened the bones, transforming a king's ransom of regalia into a sacrificial offering. This wasn't a random act of destruction. The archaeologists realized they were looking at the aftermath of a massive, highly symbolic ritual that took place around the 9th century CE. So, what exactly was going on here? This was a period of immense change in the Maya world, often called the Terminal Classic Period. Many of the great southern cities were declining, and new powers were rising. Uccanal itself was caught in this whirlwind change. Historical records carved in stone tell us that around the year 817 CE, a new ruler named Pabmalil ascended the throne. This new king wasn't from the traditional local dynasty. He likely came from a neighboring region, seizing power in a political coup. The evidence points to a dramatic public ceremony designed to legitimize his new rule. The burning of the previous ruler's remains, along with their entire collection of royal jewelry and symbols of power, was a powerful statement. It was a political act disguised as a religious ritual. By setting fire to the past, Papalil was essentially saying, the old dynasty is finished, their power is gone, turned to ash. A new era, my era, has begun. This act of desecration and transformation was a way to publicly sever ties with the old regime and establish a new political order. Think about this symbolism. Fire is both a destructive and a purifying force. In this ceremony, it destroyed the physical embodiment of the previous king's power. It also might have been seen as a way to send the former ruler as spirit to the afterlife, but in a way that was completely controlled by the new king. It was a final, definitive statement of dominance. This public spectacle would have been a powerful piece of propaganda, witnessed by the city's inhabitants. It demonstrated the new king's authority and fearlessly erased the memory of his predecessors. The remains themselves offer clues. The team found bone fragments from at least one individual, likely the former king whose tomb was being decommissioned. But interestingly, they also found what might be parts of a jade mask. Royal Maya burials often included intricate masks made of jade mosaic, placed over the face of the deceased. Finding burned fragments of such a mask alongside the bones is a smoking gun. It strongly suggests that the tomb of a previous ruler was broken into, the contents removed, and then ceremoniously burned right in the heart of the city's main pyramid. This discovery at Yukanel is a gem. It gives us a rare, tangible glimpse into the brutal and theatrical nature of Maya politics. It's one thing to read about regime changes on stone monuments. It's another thing entirely to see the physical evidence of the fiery ritual that marked it. It shows that the transfer of power wasn't always a smooth, hereditary process. It could be violent, dramatic, and underscored by massive public displays designed to rewrite history. This ritual burning wasn't just about destroying wealth. It was about transforming it. The new pyramid phase was then built directly on top of this layer of ash and burned treasure. The old king's power, symbolically consumed by fire, literally became the foundation for the new king's monument. It's a powerful metaphor for building a new future on the ashes of the past. This find also adds a new layer to our understanding of what we find or don't find in Maya pyramids. Archaeologists often search for intact royal tombs, but the Yukanel discovery reminds us that sometimes the story is in the destruction. The absence of a tomb can be just as significant as the presence of one. It forces us to consider that many tombs might have been ritually terminated and destroyed by succeeding rulers as a way of consolidating their own power. The work at Yukainel is far from over. As Dr. Halperin and her team continue to analyze the thousands of burned artifacts and bone fragments, more details of this incredible story will surely emerge. Each cracked piece of jade and scorched fragment of shell is a puzzle piece, helping us reconstruct a pivotal moment in Maya history. It's a vivid reminder that behind the serene image of ancient temples and calendars, there was a dynamic and often turbulent world of human ambition, political strategy, and the eternal struggle for power. What an absolutely fascinating window into the past. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a groundbreaking story that bridges the gap between ancient history and modern science. rewriting what we thought we knew about the first peoples of North America. It's a tale of resilience, deep roots, and the power of DNA to tell the stories our ancestors couldn't write down. This story centers on the Blackfoot Confederacy, whose ancestral lands stretch across the vast Great Plains of what is now Montana and southern Alberta. For generations, their oral traditions have spoken of a connection to this land that goes back to time. Now, an incredible scientific study has provided powerful evidence to support these ancient claims, tracing their lineage all the way back to the last ice age. What makes this study so special is that it wasn't just about the Blackfoot people. It was led by them. In a powerful example of community-led research, members of the Blackfoot Confederacy partnered with researchers from multiple universities, including the University of Illinois and the University of Montana. This collaboration ensured that the research was conducted with respect, integrity, and a deep understanding of cultural significance. The goal was clear: to use modern genetic tools to explore the deep history of the Blackfoot people in their ancestral territory, known as the Blackfoot Old Man River drainage. The elders and community leaders weren't just subjects. They were co-authors and guiding voices throughout the entire process. This approach is a game changer for how science can work with indigenous communities, moving away from a history of extractive research to one of true partnership. So, what did they find? The results are nothing short of astonishing. By analyzing the DNA of living members of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the science team was able to identify a unique genetic lineage. When they compared this lineage to ancient DNA found in the region, they discovered a direct, unbroken link stretching back thousands upon thousands of years. The study, published in the prestigious journal Science Advances, concludes that the ancestors of today, as Blackfoot people, have been living in this part of the Great Plains for at least 18,000 years. Let that sink in for a moment. 18,000 years. This means their ancestors were present during the peak of the last glacial maximum, the heart of the Ice Age, when massive ice sheets covered much of North America. This finding fundamentally challenges a long-held theory about how the Americas were populated. For decades, the dominant model was the ice-free corridor hypothesis. This theory suggested that the first people to enter the interior of North America traveled down a narrow, ice-free passage that opened up between the massive Laurentide and Cordilleran ice sheets around 13,000 years ago. These people, known as the Clovis culture, were thought to be the ancestors of all subsequent indigenous peoples in the Americas. However, the Blackfoot DNA story paints a very different picture. Their 18,000-year-old lineage predates the opening of that ice-free corridor by several millennia. This suggests that their ancestors were already living south of the ice sheets long before the Clovis people arrived. So, how is this possible? The study supports an alternative theory. the coastal migration route. This idea proposes that the first Americans didn't walk through an inland corridor, but instead traveled down the Pacific coast, likely using boats and exploiting marine resources. They would have moved along the coastline of Baringe, the ancient land bridge that connected Asia, North America, and then south along the west coast. From there, groups could have moved inland when and where conditions permitted. The Blackfoot ancestors would have been among these early peoples who established themselves south of the ice in a refuge area. This area, which includes the northern Great Plains, would have been a habitable landscape, a sort of island of life surrounded by ice, where plants, animals, and people could survive. The study's lead author, Ripen Malley, a geneticist at the University of Illinois, emphasized the significance of these findings. He explained that the genetic data shows a remarkable continuity. It's not a story of one group replacing another. It is a story of a single population persisting in the same region through dramatic climate changes and millennia of history. This genetic continuity aligns perfectly with the Blackfoot oral traditions, which have always maintained that they have been in their territory since the beginning of time. For the Blackfoot people, this is UND, informationate, as a scientific validation of what their elders and storytellers have been saying for countless generations. It transforms their oral history from what some might have dismissed as myth into a scientifically supported historical record. Let's talk more about what life would have been like 18,000 years ago. This was a world vastly different from our own. It was the late Pleistocene, an era of megafauna. Woolly mammoths, giant ground sloths, and saber-toothed cats roamed the landscape. The ancestors of the Blackfoot people were skilled hunters and gatherers, navigating this challenging environment. They would have lived in small, mobile bands, adapting to the shifting seasons and the movements of the great herds of animals they depended on. Their survival in such a harsh climate is a testament to their incredible ingenuity, resilience, and deep knowledge of the land. This study allows us to imagine them not just as abstract figures from the past, but as the direct ancestors of a vibrant, living culture today. The research process itself is a story worth telling. It began with years of building trust and relationships. The research team held numerous community meetings to explain the project and listen to the concerns and questions of the Blackfoot people. The community was involved in every step, from collecting the DNA samples, which was simple saliva swabs, to interpreting the results. This collaborative model is now being hailed as a gold standard for ethical research with indigenous populations. It demonstrates that science can be a tool for empowerment, helping communities reclaim their own histories and narratives. For the Blackfoot Confederacy, the study provides undeniable evidence of their long-standing claim to the land, which has significant implications for treaty rights and cultural preservation. Moreover, the study reveals the incredible diversity of indigenous peoples in the Americas right from the start. The old Clovis First model tended to homogenize the story of the first Americans. This new evidence shows that there were multiple founding groups, multiple migration routes, and deep regional histories that began long before 13,000 years ago. The Blackfoot lineage is distinct from other indigenous groups, highlighting that the peopling of the Americas was a complex and multifaceted process, not a single event. It's like finding a previously unknown, foundational chapter in the story of human history on this continent. Each new discovery like this adds another layer of richness and complexity to our understanding. This research also underscores the immense value of oral traditions as a valid form of historical record. For too long, Western science has tended to dismiss oral histories as unreliable. But here we have a case where the oldest stories passed down through generations are directly confirmed by the most advanced genetic science available. It's a powerful reminder that there are many ways of knowing, and that scientific data and traditional knowledge can complement and enrich one another, as Blackfoot elder and study co-author Termaine Standing on the Road beautifully put it. Our oral history and our science are one and the same. This study is a bridge between two worlds of knowledge, proving they can not only coexist but also validate each other. The implications going forward are huge. This study serves as a powerful precedent for other indigenous communities around the world who wish to explore their deep history on their own terms. It provides a roadmap for how to conduct research that is respectful, collaborative, and beneficial to the community itself. It also opens up new avenues for archaeological and genetic research in the Great Plains, encouraging scientists to look for evidence of human occupation that is much, much older than previously thought. The story of the Americas is still being written, and it is indigenous peoples themselves who are increasingly holding the pen. In conclusion, the Blackfoot lineage study is so much more than just a scientific paper. It's a story of survival against the odds, a validation of ancient wisdom, and a powerful statement about indigenous sovereignty and identity. It shows us that the history of the Great Plains is deeper and more ancient than we ever imagined, and that the descendants of those Ice Age survivors are still here today, carrying their heritage forward. It's a profound connection between the past, present, and future, written in the very DNA of the Blackfoot people. What an incredible story of resilience and deep, unwavering connection to the land. Hey history buffs and adventure seekers, get ready for a story that feels like it's straight out of an Indiana Jones movie. We're heading to Serbia, where archaeologists have just made a mind-blowing discovery that rewriting what we know about the Roman Empire's reach and grandeur. Imagine this. You're digging at an ancient site, a place already famous for its Roman treasures. Day after day, you're carefully brushing away centuries of soil. Then, you hit something solid. Something big. It's not just another piece of pottery or a coin. It's the foundation of a monumental Roman triumphal arch. That's exactly what happened at the Vimanisium Archaeological Park near the modern town of Kastolac in Serbia. This isn't just any find. It's the first ever Roman triumphal arch discovered in the entire country, putting Serbia on a very exclusive map alongside places like Rome, Pompeii, and Turkey. So, What's the big deal about a triumphal arch? Well, these weren't just decorative gates. In ancient Rome, they were massive symbols of power and victory. They were built to commemorate a significant military triumph, a victorious general, or even the emperor himself. When a Roman legion returned home after a successful campaign, they would march through these arches in a grand parade, celebrated by cheering crowds. To find one here, in what was once the Roman province of Mysia Superior, tells us just how important this region was to the empire. The arch at Viminacium is believed to date back to the 3rd century CE, a turbulent but fascinating period in Roman history. This was the time of the crises of the 3rd century, an era marked by civil wars, barbarian invasions, and rapid turnover of empire. It was also a time when emperors who were UNT from the traditional Roman aristocracy could rise to power. Several Roman emperors were actually born in the region of modern-day Serbia. The leading archaeologist on the project, Myomir, suggests this arch was likely dedicated to an emperor who either visited or passed through, possibly Septimus Severus or Caracalla. Think about it. A Roman emperor, possibly on his way to a military campaign or returning in glory, would have passed under this very arch. The structure would have been a stunning sight, likely adorned with intricate marble reliefs depicting scenes of battle, gods and goddesses, and inscriptions praising the emperor. The discovery itself was made in December, a fantastic end-of-year surprise for the archaeological team. They uncovered the arch's foundations, which are made of massive limestone blocks, giving us a sense of its impressive scale. Now, let's talk about Viminacium itself. This place is an archaeologist's dream. It wasn't just a small military outpost. It was a sprawling, thriving metropolis. At its peak, Viminacium was the capital of the Roman province of Mysia Superior, and home to one of the most important legions on the Danube frontier, the Legio VII. Claudia, the city had everything. A fortress, a civilian town, an amphitheater, public baths, temples, and vast necropolis cemeteries that have yielded tens of thousands of artifacts. The site covers a massive area, over Empadratus 50 hectares, which is larger than Pompeii, and incredibly, only about 3 to 4% of it has been excavated. That means there are countless more secrets waiting to be discovered beneath the Serbian soil. Over the years, archaeologists here have found stunning frescoes, intricate mosaics, gold jewelry, Roman ships, and even the complete skeleton of a mammoth from a much earlier period. The discovery of the Triumphal Arch adds another layer to the story of this incredible city. It confirms Viminacium's status as a major political and military hub. Building such a monument was an expansive and resource-intensive project, reserved only for the most significant locations in the empire. It was a statement to everyone who saw it. This is Roman territory, a place of power, order, and civilization. So, what happens next? The team at Viminacium is now working to carefully excavate the entire area around the arch. They hope to find fragments of its upper structure, the decorative marble panels, and perhaps even the inscription that would tell us exactly which emperor it was dedicated to and why. This is like a giant historical jigsaw puzzle. Each piece they find brings the picture of 3rd century Venenacium into sharper focus. This discovery is also a huge deal for tourism and cultural heritage in Serbia. Venenacium is already a fantastic park where visitors can walk through excavated Roman streets, see the mausoleum believed to hold the remains of a 3rd century emperor, and explore the Mammoth Park. The addition of a triumphal arch will undoubtedly draw even more attention from around the world. It's a tangible link to a glorious past, a stone monument that has silently waited almost 1,800 years to tell its story. It's discoveries like these that make history so exciting. It's not just about dusty books and old maps. It's about the real, physical remnants of people who lived, fought, and celebrated in these very spots. The Venenacium Arch is more than just stone. It's a gateway to the past, a testament to the ambition of the Roman Empire, and a thrilling new chapter in the ongoing story of human history. We'll be keeping a close eye on the excavations, and you can bet we'll bring you any updates as soon as they're announced. What do you think they'll find next? Let me know in the comments below. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a discovery that's rewriting the history books. Imagine holding a piece of the past, something so ancient it feels like it's straight out of a saga. Well, archaeologists in Denmark have just done that, unearthing an artifact that's sending shockwaves through the world of history and linguistics. Just recently near the city of Othenza, on the island of Funana, place already steeped in historiologists were carefully excavating a gravesite. Beneath an urn, buried for nearly 2 millennia, they found something extraordinary. A small, unassuming iron knife, only about 8. But this wasn't just any old blade. Etched onto its surface were 5 runes, a form of writing that immediately told the experts this was a significant find. So, what makes this little knife so special? It's the inscription. The runes spell out the word Hirela. When translated from Old Norse, this means little sword. It's a charming, almost affectionate name for a personal tool. Think about it, someone 2,000 years ago named their knife. It gives us this incredibly personal glimpse into their world, turning an object into a story. This individual wasn't just carrying a tool. They were carrying their little sword. Now, let's talk about the age, because this is where it gets truly mind-blowing. This knife has been dated to around 158. That makes it almost 2,000 years old. But the real headline here is that the inscription Hirila is now officially the oldest runic inscription ever found in Denmark. This isn't just a small step forward in our understanding, it's a giant leap. To put this into perspective, let's consider Denmark's most famous runic artifacts, the Jelling stones. These massive, intricately carved stones are often called Denmark's birth certificate, marking the nation's conversion to Christianity and the unification of the kingdom. They are incredibly important, dating back to the 10th century. But this humble little knife predates the mighty Jelling stones by a staggering 800 years. 8 centuries. That's an immense gap in time, pushing back the timeline of written language in Denmark further than we ever thought possible. The runes themselves are from the oldest known runic alphabet, often called the Elder Futhark. Finding them on an object from this early period, the Roman Iron Age, is exceptionally rare. It tells us that the use of writing in Scandinavia was happening much earlier, and was perhaps more widespread than previously believed. It wasn't just for grand monuments or powerful chieftains. It was personal. It was for naming the tools you used every day. The discovery was made by archaeologists from the Museum of... Imagine the moment of realization, carefully cleaning away centuries of dirt to reveal these tiny, deliberate marks. Jacob Bonn, the city archaeologist, described the find as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It connects us directly to the people of the Iron Age, in a way that pottery or other non-inscribed artifacts simply yante. It's a direct message from the past. The context of the discovery is also fascinating. The knife was found in a grave, suggesting it was a cherished personal possession, buried with its owner to accompany them into the afterlife. This tells us about the beliefs and customs of the time. The person buried here was likely someone of a certain status, someone who was literate, or at least lived in a society where literacy, even in this early form, existed and held meaning. The grave itself contained the cremated remains of a person placed within an urn, which was a common burial practice during this period. This find also raises so many new questions. Who was this person? Were they a warrior, a craftsman, a community leader? Was Hirila a common name for knives? Or was this a unique personal touch? And who carved the runes? Was it the owner themselves, or a specialized rune master? Every new discovery like this doesn't just provide answers. It opens up a dozen new avenues for research. Linguists are particularly excited. Lisbeth Eimer, a runologist from the National Museum of Denmark, has confirmed the significance of the inscription. Studying these early runes helps linguists trace the evolution of the Nordic languages. Hirila gives them a solid dated example of a word from a period with very few written sources. It's a key piece of the puzzle in understanding how language developed in Northern Europe. What this discovery really does is humanize the past. We often think of the Iron Age as a distant, almost mythical time of fierce warriors and primitive societies. But this little sword reminds us that it was a world of people just like us. They had names for their belongings, they had rituals for honoring their dead, and they had a written language to express themselves. It's a powerful reminder that history is not just about dates and events, but about the individual lives that were lived. The knife is now undergoing further analysis and conservation. Experts will study the metal, the craftsmanship, and the context of the grave in even greater detail to squeeze every last drop of information from this incredible artifact. Soon, it will likely be displayed for the public, allowing everyone to see this tangible link to Denmark's most ancient written history. It's discoveries like this that keep history alive and exciting. It shows that there are still so many secrets buried right under our feet, waiting to be found. Who knows what else is out there? Maybe another little sword is waiting to tell its story. What an absolutely phenomenal find. It truly changes our perception of the deep past in Scandinavia. Have you ever wondered what secrets lie buried just a few feet beneath the roads you drive on every day? Well, if you've ever driven the A428 between the Black Cat roundabout and Caxton Gibbet, you've been traveling over a gold mine of ancient history. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most exciting archaeological digs in recent UK history, uncovering a story that stretches back thousands of years as part of a massive road improvement project. A team of archaeologists from the Museum of London Archaeology, or MOLA, has been working tirelessly along this stretch of road near the Cambridgeshire-Bedfordshire border, and what they've found is absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about a site that spans an area equivalent to nearly 90 full-size football pitches. That makes it one of the largest archaeological investigations ever conducted in this part of the country. What they've unearthed is a detailed timeline of life in ancient Britain, from the Bronze Age, through the Iron Age, and right into the Roman period. It's like peeling back layers of time, with each layer telling a new part of the story of the people who lived, worked, and thrived on this very land. One of the earliest and most intriguing finds is a simple-looking object, a loom weight. Now, this might not sound as glamorous as a hoard of gold, but this piece of baked clay is believed to date all the way back to the Bronze Age, somewhere between 2500 and 800 BCE. This single artifact opens up a window into the daily lives of people over 3,000 years ago. Loom weights were used to hold threads taut on a vertical loom, which means that somewhere nearby, a Bronze Age family was weaving textiles. They were making clothes, blankets, and other essential fabrics right here. This wasn't just an empty landscape. It was a place of industry, a place where people were creating things by hand. This discovery hints at a settled community. People with homes, skills, and a daily routine. It's the very beginning of the story that this incredible dig is starting to tell. But the story doesn't stop in the Bronze Age. As the archaeologists dug deeper, they moved forward in time to the Iron Age, which in Britain lasted from about 800 BCE until the Romans arrived in 43 CE. And this is where things get really fascinating. They've uncovered evidence of a huge, thriving settlement. We're talking about the remains of more than 30 Iron Age round. Imagine a bustling village. Smoke rising from the conical thatched roofs. The sounds of people and animals filling the air. This wasn't just a small, isolated farmstead. It was a significant community. The layout of these roundhouses, their enclosures, and the artifacts found within them suggest a well-organized society. These people were skilled farmers, managing the land and their livestock. They were also artisans and craftspeople. One of the most significant finds from this period is a collection of pottery. Archaeologists have found numerous pottery fragments, some of which are quite decorative. By studying the styles and materials of this pottery, experts can learn about trade networks, cultural influences, and even the types of food these people were eating and storing. Each potsherd is a clue. Was it made locally, or was it traded from a community miles away? What was it used for? Cooking, storing grain, or perhaps for ceremonial purposes? These are the questions the team at Mola are working to answer. The sheer number of roundhouses and the density of the artifacts paint a picture of a vibrant and successful community that existed for generations, long before the Romans ever set foot in Britain. It shows us that this part of Cambridgeshire was a key location, a central hub of activity for centuries. And then the Romans arrived. The arrival of the Roman Empire in 43 CE brought about a massive transformation across Britain, and the A428 site shows this change in stunning detail. The archaeologists found that the Iron Age settlement didn't just disappear. It evolved. A new Roman-style town began to emerge, built right on top of and alongside the older Iron Age structures. This new town was laid out in a more structured, grid-like pattern, typical of Roman planning. They've discovered the foundations of rectangular Roman buildings, completely different from the circular roundhouses of the Iron Age. They've also found roads, not just the main road that would have been a precursor to the A428, but smaller tracks and pathways within the town itself. This indicates a shift towards a more Roman way of life. The people living here were adapting, integrating Roman technologies and ideas into their daily existence. It's a classic example of Romano-British culture in the making. Among the most exciting finds from the Roman period are the artifacts that tell us about the people who lived in this new town. They've found Roman coins, which are fantastic for dating different layers of the site, and tell us about the economy and the flow of money. They've also found beautiful high-quality pottery known as Samian ware. This was a glossy red tableware imported all the way from Gaul, which is modern-day France. Finding this here means the residents weren't just subsistence farmers. They had access to luxury goods and were part of the vast trade network of the Roman Empire. They also uncovered personal items like brooches used for fastening clothing. These small, often ornate objects give us a glimpse into the fashion and personal identity of the people. Each design can tell us something about the owner's status, origin, or even their beliefs. But perhaps the most incredible find from the Roman era is a rare collection of glass vessels. These delicate items were incredibly expensive and fragile. To find them here, largely intact, suggests that this town had some very wealthy and important inhabitant. These weren't just everyday drinking cups. They were status symbols, a clear sign of wealth and sophistication. What is truly remarkable about the A428 dig is that it shows the continuous occupation of one single area over thousands of years. You can literally see the transition from one culture to another. You can see the Iron Age roundhouses giving way to Roman villas and streets. This continuity is rare and provides an unparalleled opportunity to study how life changed and how it stayed the same for the people living in ancient Britain. They adapted to new rulers, new technologies, and new ideas, but they remained on the same land their ancestors had farmed for centuries. The work is far from over. Every single one of the thousands of artifacts recovered from the site will now be carefully cleaned, cataloged, and studied by specialists. This is the slow, detailed work that turns these objects into a story. They'll analyze pollen from the soil to understand the ancient environment and what crops were grown. They'll examine animal bones to learn about the residents' diet and their farming practices. And they will piece together the fragments of pottery and glass to reconstruct the objects and understand their origins. This project is a perfect example of how infrastructure development can go hand in hand with preserving our heritage. Without the A428 improvement scheme, this incredible window into our past might have remained hidden forever. It's a powerful reminder that history is all around us, and sometimes it's buried right under our feet. The discoveries made here will rewrite the history books for this region and give us a much richer understanding of our Bronze Age, Iron Age, and Roman ancestors. So, what do you think is the most fascinating discovery from the A428 dig? The ancient Bronze Age loom weight, the bustling Iron Age village, or the sophisticated Roman town with its luxury glass? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's just incredible to think about the layers of human history that exist all around us. See you next time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're journeying back in time. Not just thousands, but tens of thousands of years to uncover a story etched in stone. We're heading to the Iberian Peninsula, specifically eastern Spain, to explore the incredible world of Spanish Levantine rock art. This isn't just about pretty pictures on cave walls. It's a window into the minds and lives of our prehistoric ancestors, revealing a level of sophistication that might just blow you away. For a long time, we've admired these ancient artworks for their depictions of hunting scenes, animals, and human figures. But a recent, deeper look into these masterpieces is revealing something extraordinary. These early societies were expert climbers, and they had the gear to prove it. We're talking about ropes, ladders, and techniques that show an incredible understanding of physics and risk management. This isn't just speculation. The proof is painted right there on the rock face for us to see. Imagine living in a world without supermarkets or delivery apps. Your survival depends entirely on what you can hunt, gather, or forage from the landscape around you. And in the rugged, cliff-filled terrain of eastern Spain, some of the most valuable resources were located in very hard-to-reach places. Think of birds' nests full of eggs, or even better, beehives dripping with precious energy-rich honey. Getting to them wasn't a casual Sunday stroll. It was a high-stakes, life-or-death challenge. This is where the genius of our ancestors shines through. They didn't just look up at a cliff and give up. They developed tools and techniques to conquer the vertical world. And the most crucial piece of their climbing kit, the rope. The rock art from this region provides us with some of the oldest and most detailed evidence of rope technology in human history. We're seeing more than just a simple line. We're seeing complex systems that suggest a deep, generational knowledge of knots, fibers, and climbing safety. Let's zoom in on a groundbreaking discovery at a site called Barranco Gomez. Here, archaeologists found a truly remarkable painting. It depicts a human figure, or what we call but this isn't a free solo climb. The figure is using a rope ladder. Let that sink in. A rope ladder, a piece of technology we still use today, was being used by people thousands and thousands of years ago. The detail in this painting is what makes it so significant. The artists didn't just draw a couple of lines. They depicted a ladder made of thick, braided ropes for the sides, with rigid rungs in between. The ladder is shown hanging from the top of the cliff, providing access to the hive. This isn't just art. It's a technical diagram. It shows us that these people weren't just throwing a single rope over a ledge and hoping for the best. They were constructing complex tools designed for a specific purpose. This discovery it challenges our old assumptions about the technological capabilities of hunter-gatherer societies. Making a strong, reliable rope ladder is not a simple task. It requires an intimate knowledge of materials. Which plants make the strongest fibers? How do you process them? How do you braid or twist them to maximize their strength and durability? This single painting implies a whole chain of knowledge and skill, from botany to engineering. Furthermore, the paintings often show not one, but multiple figures. In some scenes, one person is climbing while another is at the top of the cliff, seemingly acting as an anchor or a belayer, managing the rope. This suggests that climbing and gathering weren't solitary activities. They were community efforts, requiring teamwork, communication, and trust. The person on the ground or at the top of the cliff had the climber's life in their hands. This adds a whole new social dimension to our understanding of these ancient societies. It shows a level of social cohesion and cooperation that was essential for their survival. This use of ropes wasn't limited to just gathering honey. Other rock art panels in the region show figures using ropes to descend cliffs, possibly to hunt animals like the ibex, which are notoriously agile cliff dwellers. In some scenes, it looks like they might even be using ropes to lower hunted game down a cliff face. A much safer and more efficient method than trying to carry a heavy animal down a treacherous path. Each of these depictions adds another layer to the story, showing that ropes were a versatile and indispensable part of their toolkit. The consistency of these depictions across different sites, spanning hundreds of miles and possibly thousands of years, is also telling. It suggests that this wasn't an isolated invention. This was a widespread cultural technology, a body of knowledge passed down from generation to generation. A young person would learn how to identify the right plants, how to process the fibers, how to tie the essential knots, and how to climb safely, not from a textbook, but by watching and learning from their elders. It was a living tradition, essential for the community's prosperity. So, how did they make these ropes? While the ropes themselves, being made of organic material, have long since decomposed, we can make some educated guesses based on the environment and later archaeological finds. Plants like espato grass, which grows abundantly in the region, are known for their strong fibers and were used for rope making in later historical periods. The process would have involved harvesting the grass, drying it, and then painstakingly twisting or braiding the fibers together to create a strong, reliable cord. The thicker the rope, the more strands, and the more work would be required. A rope ladder would have been a significant investment of time and resources for the community. The artists who created these paintings clearly understood the importance of this technology. They didn't just paint the act of getting honey. They deliberately included the tools that made it possible. They chose to highlight the ropes and ladders, giving them a prominent place in the composition. This tells us that they saw this technology as a key part of their identity and their success. It was something to be proud of, something to be recorded for posterity on the rock walls that defined their landscape. What this all boils down to is a fundamental shift in how we view our prehistoric ancestors. They were not the simple, primitive people we sometimes imagine. They were intelligent, innovative, and resourceful. They were scientists, engineers, and artists. They observed the world around them, identified problems, and engineered sophisticated solutions. The rock art of Spanish Levant is a testament to their ingenuity. It's a library of ancient knowledge, and we are only just beginning to learn how to read it. Every new discovery, every re-examination of these ancient paintings gives us a clearer picture of their world. It's a world where humans had a deep and intricate relationship with their environment. A relationship built on knowledge, skill, and cooperation. The story of the rope makers of prehistoric Spain is a powerful reminder that the drive to explore, to innovate, and to overcome challenges is one of the oldest and most fundamental parts of the human story. It's a legacy written in ochre on stone, waiting for us to uncover it. Today, we're diving deep into history, literally, to talk about an absolutely staggering discovery made right in the heart of Bedfordshire, England. Imagine a time long before the pyramids, before Stonehenge was even a thought. We're going back 8,000 years to the Mesolithic period, or the Middle Stone Age. Archaeologists working on a new housing development site in Hutton Regis, called Linmere, have stumbled upon something truly monumental. We're not talking about a few scattered arrowheads or fragments of pottery. They've unearthed a series of up to 25 massive, enigmatic pits that are rewriting what we know about ancient life in Britain. So what exactly did they find? Picture this: a landscape dotted with enormous, carefully dug pits. These aren't just random holes in the ground. They are remarkably consistent in their design. Circular in shape with steep, almost vertical sides that then flare out at the bottom. We're talking about pits up to 5 meters, or about 16 feet wide and almost 2 meters, or 6 feet deep. To give you some perspective, that is wide enough to park a small car in and deep enough that you'd struggle to climb out. And it's not just one or two of them. It's a whole complex of up to 25, spread across a vast area. Nothing on this scale from the Mesolithic period has ever been found in England or Wales before. This discovery is, without a doubt, a complete game changer for our understanding of the people who lived here thousands of years ago. You might be wondering, how do we know these are 8,000 years old? The key lies at the bottom of these pits. In several of them, archaeologists found the bones of a wild ox known as an ur. These were huge, formidable cattle that roamed ancient Europe and were a primary food source for hunting. By analyzing these bones, experts can date the site back to the Mesolithic era. This was a time when Britain was still connected to mainland Europe by a land bridge called Dock. The people living here were nomadic hunter-gatherers, moving with the seasons and the herds of animals they hunted. They used flint tools, lived in temporary shelters, and had a deep connection to the natural world. The discovery of these pits gives us a rare and incredibly valuable snapshot into their complex world. It challenges the old view of Mesolithic people as just simple wanderers. Clearly, they were capable of large-scale, coordinated efforts. Now for the million-dollar question. What were these giant pits used for? This is where things get really fascinating. And archaeologists are currently exploring several theories. The most obvious idea is that they were used for hunting. Imagine a group of hunters driving a massive auroch or a red deer towards one of these pits. It would have been an effective trap, allowing them to secure a huge amount of food for their community. The presence of the auric bones certainly lends strong support to this theory. It would have required incredible teamwork and planning, not just to dig the pits with simple tools like animal antlers and wooden spades, but also to coordinate the hunt itself. However, the story might be more complex than just a simple hunting trap. The sheer scale and number of these pits suggest they may have held a deeper, more symbolic meaning. Could they have been spiritual or ritualistic sites? It is possible that the act of digging these pits and the hunts associated with them were part of a larger ceremony. Perhaps they were a way to honor the spirits of the animals they hunted, or to mark a special, sacred place in the landscape. The pits are aligned in a specific way, stretching for over half a kilometer in 2 straight lines. This kind of deliberate arrangement is rarely accidental. It suggests a level of planning and intention that goes beyond pure function. This alignment might have followed a natural feature in the landscape that is no longer visible, or it could have been aligned with something in the sky, like the rising or setting of the sun at a certain time of year. Another intriguing aspect is the specific choice of location. The pits are situated on a ridge overlooking the River Flit. For ancient people, high ground was often significant. It offered a commanding view of the surrounding territory, making it a strategic spot to watch for game or other groups of people. But it could also have been a place with spiritual significance, a liminal space between the earth and the sky. The act of digging deep into the earth at such a prominent location could have been a powerful symbolic gesture, connecting the community to the land and to their ancestors. These pits weren't just holes, they were monuments. They were a way for these Mesolithic people to make their mark on the world, a statement of their presence, their beliefs, and their power. The discovery at Linmir is so significant because it forces us to rethink our entire perception of the Mesolithic period. For a long time, this era was seen as a sort of dark age between the more famous Paleolithic or Old Stone Age with its cave art, and the Neolithic or New Stone Age, when farming and permanent settlements began. We tended to imagine small, scattered bands of people just trying to survive. But this find paints a very different picture. It shows us a society that was organized, sophisticated, and capable of undertaking huge communal projects. The effort required to create these 25 pits is immense. It speaks of a community with a strong social structure, leadership, and a shared purpose. This discovery doesn't stand in isolation. It connects to other finds across Europe. For example, similar, though smaller, pit alignments have been found in other parts of Britain, and even as far away as Brittany in France. The Linmir site, however, is exceptional because of its sheer size and the number of pits involved. It suggests that this area of Bedfordshire may have been a particularly important hub for Mesolithic people. Perhaps a seasonal gathering place where different groups came together for hunts, rituals, and social exchange. It was a bustling center of activity, not an empty wilderness. The archaeologists from the Museum of London Archaeology, who are leading the excavation, are incredibly excited. They believe this site could hold the key to understanding many of the unanswered questions about this mysterious period of our past. The work is far from over. The team is now carefully analyzing everything they've found. This includes not just the animal bones, but also soil samples, which can contain pollen and tiny insect remains. This microarchaeology can help them reconstruct the environment as it was 8,000 years ago. What was the landscape like? What kinds of trees and plants were growing? This detailed environmental data combined with the archaeological evidence, will allow them to build a much richer and more complete picture of Mesolithic life. Every piece of flint, every fragment of bone, is a clue that helps to tell the story of the people who dug these incredible pits. It's like a giant prehistoric puzzle, and the team at Linmere are slowly putting the pieces together. It's also a powerful reminder that history is all around us, often buried just beneath our feet. This entire monumental complex was found on a site planned for new homes. It highlights the crucial role of archaeological investigation before construction begins. Without it, this priceless window into our ancient past could have been lost forever. It's a fantastic example of how development and heritage can work hand in hand to uncover the secrets of our shared history. The residents of the future Linmere community will be living on land that has a truly extraordinary story to tell, a story that stretches back thousands of years. So what happens next? The analysis of the finds will continue for many months and even years. We can expect more announcements as scientists use techniques like radiocarbon dating to get more precise ages for the pits, an isotopic analysis on the burns to learn more about the diet and movement of the animals. Each new piece of information will add another layer to our understanding. This discovery is not just a single event. It's the beginning of a whole new chapter in the study of prehistoric Britain. It's a thrilling time for archaeology, and it proves that there are still incredible wonders waiting to be discovered. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story as it develops, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any updates. What do you think these pits were used for? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Have you ever felt a pull towards the ancient? A whisper from a time long before recorded history? Today, we're journeying to the heart of the Mediterranean, to the enchanting island of Sardinia, Italy. Our destination isn't one of its famous beaches or bustling towns, but a place that holds the secrets of a civilization thousands of years old. We're going to explore the Dolmen S.A. Kovekada, one of the most significant and impressive prehistoric monuments in the entire Mediterranean region. Imagine standing before a structure built by human hands over 5,000 years ago. That's the feeling you get at Tesakovek. The name itself, in the Sardinian language, means the covered one, a fitting description for this ancient tomb. It's what archaeologists call a gallery grave or an allée couverte, a type of megalithic tomb characterized by a long, rectangular chamber located near the town of Moors in the province of Sassari. This dolmen is a true giant among its kind. The sheer scale is breathtaking. The main chamber is about 5 meters long and 2 meters wide, constructed from massive, rough-hewn slabs of local trachyte rock. But the star of the show is the enormous roofing slab. This single piece of stone is estimated to weigh around 27 tons. Think about that for a moment. 27 tons. How did a people working in the late Neolithic or early Copper Age between 3,500 and 2,700 BC manage to quarry, transport, and lift such a colossal stone into place? This question is at the core of the mystery surrounding megalithic structures worldwide, and Inextricably is a prime example. These ancient builders had no modern machinery, no cranes, no power tools. Their success was a testament to incredible ingenuity, community effort, and a deep understanding of physics and engineering. They likely used earthen ramps, wooden rollers, levers, and an immense amount of human power to achieve this feat. It wasn't just about building a tomb. It was a monumental community project, a statement of power, belief, and reverence for their ancestors. So, what was the purpose of this incredible structure? Inextricably was a collective tomb. It wasn't built for a single king or pharaoh, but for a community. Inside this stone chamber, the remains of many individuals were placed over generations. This practice tells us a lot about their society. It suggests a strong sense of kinship and a belief system where the community, both living and dead, remained connected. Archaeological finds in and around similar dolmens in Sardinia have unearthed pottery fragments, flint tools, and personal ornaments. These items were likely grave goods, offerings left for the deceased to use in the afterlife. The rituals performed here were probably complex and deeply meaningful. Picture a funeral procession, the community gathering into one of their own within this stone sanctuary. The act of entering the dolmen, a space between the world of the living and the realm of the spirits, must have been a powerful and solemn experience. The dolmen itself is oriented along an east-west axis, with the entrance facing east. This is a common feature in many ancient monuments and is likely tied to celestial events such as the rising sun. Perhaps the first light of dawn on a specific day of the year, like the winter solstice, would illuminate the inner chamber, symbolizing rebirth or the soul's journey into the afterlife. These weren't just random piles of rocks. They were carefully designed sacred spaces, intricately linked with the cosmos and the cycles of nature. The people who built Inextricably were part of what is known as the Oziri culture, a remarkable prehistoric civilization that flourished in Sardinia. They were skilled farmers and herders, but also talented artisans, producing distinctive, finely decorated pottery. The construction of massive monuments like Essa, along with other prehistoric sites like the Domas de Janaz or ferry houses, shows that their society was highly organized and culturally rich. Visiting Inextricably today is a truly humbling experience. It sits in a quiet, rural landscape, surrounded by rolling hills and the wild herbs of the Sardinian countryside. There are no long queues, no gift shops, just you and this silent, colossal witness to history. You can walk right up to it, touch the cool, weathered stone, and peer into the dark chamber. You can run your hand along the tool marks left by its creators 5 millennia ago. It's a moment that connects you directly to the deep past. You start to ponder the lives of the people who built it. What were their hopes, their fears, What stories did they tell their children around the fire at night? Standing there, you realize that while their world was vastly different from ours, their fundamental human experiences of life, death, and remembrance are universal. The Dulmansa Kovekada is more than just an archaeological site. It's a portal to another time. It reminds us that the history of humanity is written not just in books, but in the very stones of the earth. It challenges our modern perceptions of what is possible and stands as an enduring monument to the strength, ingenuity, and spiritual depth of our ancient ancestors. The preservation of such sites is incredibly important. They are fragile links to a past that has no other written record. Sarkovikada has withstood the test of time, surviving earthquakes, storms, and the passage of thousands of years. It's a powerful symbol of endurance and a priceless piece of our shared human heritage. So, if you ever find yourself on the beautiful island of Sardinia, I urge you to venture off the beaten path. Sikat di Domanisa Kovikada. Stand in the shadow of its giant capstone and listen. You might just hear the echoes of a long-lost world. A whisper from the stone builders carried on the Mediterranean breeze. It's an experience that will stay with you long after you've left. A profound reminder of the deep and mysterious roots of our own story. Today, we're embarking on a journey back in time, nearly 2,000 years ago, to a city that was once the beating heart of Roman Britain. We're in Colchester, Essex, to uncover the story of a truly monumental structure, the Barkern Gate. This isn't just any old ruin. It's the oldest and largest surviving Roman gateway in all of Britain. Standing here, you can almost hear the echoes of Roman legions, the clatter of chariot wheels, and the bustling life of a city at the edge of an empire. So, grab your virtual explorer's hat, because we're about to step through this ancient portal and discover the secrets of Roman Colchester. Before we dive into the gate itself, let's set the scene. Why Colchester? What made this spot so important to the Romans? Long before the first Roman soldier set foot here, the area was already a major power center. It was the capital of the Trinovantes, a powerful Celtic tribe, and later the Katuv under their famous king, Cunobeli knew, might know him as Shakespeare's Simba. This pre-Roman settlement was a thriving hub of trade and influence. So when the Romans, led by Emperor Claudius, launched their full-scale invasion in 43 AD, this was their primary target. Capturing Camulodunum wasn't just It was a symbolic one. It signaled the dawn of a new era, and the Romans quickly set about transforming the British capital into a city that would reflect their own power and prestige. They established a fortress here for the famous 20th Legion, the Legio ECCs. But after a few years, the frontier moved on, and the military presence was no longer needed. So, what do you do with a prime piece of real estate? You turn it into a city for retired soldiers around 49 AD. Colchester was founded as a colonia, a settlement for veteran legions. It was officially named Colonia the City of Victory, and it became the very first capital of Roman Britain. This new city was designed to be a beacon of Roman civilization in a newly conquered land. It had a grid of streets, a forum, a theater, and even a massive temple dedicated to the Emperor Claudius himself, a clear statement of imperial power. And a city of this importance needed grand, impressive defenses. This is where our story of the Balkan Gate truly begins. The gate we see today wasn't built in a single go. Its origins are actually tied to an earlier, even grander structure. Before the main city walls were constructed, there was a massive triumphal arch. This arch was likely built around the same time the Colonia was founded, in the late 40s AD. Think of it as a ceremonial entrance, a monumental billboard celebrating Roman victory and the glory of the emperor. It was huge, with a central archway wide enough for 2 carts to pass through, flanked by 2 smaller arches for pedestrians. It was a statement piece, meant to impress anyone arriving at the new capital. It wasn't built for defense, it was built for spectacle. This original arch forms the core of the Balkan Gate we see today. But the peace and prosperity of early Roman Colchester were about to be shattered. In 60 or 61 AD, the infamous revolt of Boudica, queen of the Iceni tribe, erupted across the province. The Britons, furious at Roman oppression, targeted the 3 main symbols of Roman rule: Colchester, London, and Colchester, the capital and home of the hated temple of Claudius, was their first target. The city was new, its defenses were incomplete, and it was filled with retired soldiers, not an active legion. The historian Tacitus tells us it was sacked and burned to the ground. The residents who took refuge in the temple held out for 2 days before they were overrun. It was a brutal, devastating event that left the city in ruins. After the rebellion was finally crushed, the Romans began the slow, arduous process of rebuilding. and this time they weren't taking any chances. Security was the #1 priority. A massive defensive wall was constructed around the city, a project that likely took several years. This wall, over 2 miles long and built of stone and tile, was a formidable barrier. And as part of this new defensive system, the old, purely ceremonial triumphal arch was incorporated into the main western entrance. It was adapted, fortified, and transformed from a symbol of pride into a bastion of defense. And thus, the Balkan Gate, as a proper defensive gateway, was born. Let's take a closer look at the structure itself. The original triumphal arch, with its large central carriageway and 2 pedestrian footways, is still the heart of the gate. But the Romans added to massive, D-shaped guard towers on either side. These towers projected out from the city wall, giving defenders a clear line of sight along the walls and a commanding view of anyone approaching the gate. You can still see the foundations and lower sections of these towers today. The entrance was also modified. The Romans likely installed heavy timber doors, and the whole complex was designed to be a kill zone for any attackers who dared to try and breach it. The footways we can still walk through today are the original Roman pedestrian arch. When you step through them, you are literally walking in the footsteps of people who lived here 2 millennia ago. It's an incredible feeling. The name Balkorn is much more recent than the gate itself. It's believed to derive from the Old English words bilken kern, meaning something like beam house or structure with beams, perhaps referring to the large timber beams that would have been part of its structure or a nearby building in the Anglo-Saxon period. For centuries after the Romans left Britain around 410 AD, the gate and the walls continued to define the town. They were repaired and maintained throughout the medieval period, protecting Colchester during sieges and conflicts. The gate wasn't just a Roman relic. It was a living, functional part of the town's defenses for over 1,000 years. It witnessed the arrival of Saxons, Normans, and the turmoil of the English Civil War. So what happened to it? Why is it in its current state? Like many ancient structures, the Balkan Gate fell victim to the passage of time and the changing needs of the city. By the 18th century, with no military threat, the old Roman walls and gates were seen less as vital defenses and more as inconvenient obstacles to traffic and development. Parts of the gates were demolished to make way for a new road and the construction of a pub, which now famously stands right in the middle of where the gate's northern tower used to be. The pub is literally built into the Roman wall. It's a fascinating and slightly jarring blend of ancient and modern. What we see today is what survived this period of modernization. Despite the losses, what remains is still the most complete Roman gateway in Britain. Standing here now, it's a powerful reminder of Colchester's deep and layered history. You have the Roman Gate, the medieval town that grew around it, and the modern city that bustles alongside it. It's not locked away in a museum. It's part of the everyday fabric of life here. People walk through these ancient arches on their way to work, to the shops, or to the pub. Cars drive along the road that cuts through its center. It's a living monument, a direct physical link connecting the 21st century to the age of emperors and lead. It tells a story of conquest, rebellion, resilience, and the relentless march of time. It is a testament to the incredible engineering skills of the Romans and the enduring legacy they left on this island. So, if you'll ever find yourself in Essex, make sure you visit Colchester. Come and stand before the balcony gate. Walk through its pedestrian arches and touch the stones that were laid by Roman hands 2,000 years ago. It's a truly humbling and awe-inspiring experience. It reminds us that history isn't just something you read about in books. It's all around us, waiting to be discovered. Thanks for joining me on this journey back to Roman Britain. I hope you enjoyed this look at one of the country's greatest historical treasures. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more adventures into the past. See you next time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a discovery that could rewrite history books. Imagine, out on the vast, windswept steppes of Kazakhstan, a team of archaeologists stumbles upon something truly monumental. Not just another ancient ruin, but a colossal step pyramid. A structure so old it challenges our understanding of early civilizations. This isn't Egypt or Mesopotamia. This is Central Asia. And this find is shaking the very foundations of archaeology. The discovery was made at a site known as the Kairi Monumental Complex, located in the northern part of Kazakhstan. For years, this area has been a treasure trove for historians, revealing secrets of the Bronze Age and Dranovo culture. But nothing could have prepared them for this. What they unearthed is a massive hexagonal step pyramid believed to be around 4,000 years old. Let that sink in. We're talking about the 2nd millennium BCE, a time when Stonehenge was already ancient and the Great Pyramids of Giza were 1,000 years old. So, what makes this Kazakh pyramid so special? Well, for starters, its shape. Most step pyramids we know, like the famous Pyramid of Djoser in Egypt, are square or rectangular. This one is hexagonal. This isn't just a random choice. It shows an incredible level of geometric precision and sophisticated design. It's an architectural marvel that seems completely out of place, unlike anything else ever found in the Eurasian steppes. The people who built this weren't just nomadic herders. They were master builders, astronomers, and engineers. The excavation, led by a team from the Eurasian National University's Archaeology and Ethnology Department, has been a meticulous process as they carefully peeled back the layers of earth. The sheer scale of the structure became apparent. The outer walls are adorned with images of various animals, with a particular emphasis on horses. This isn't surprising, as the Andronovo people were among the first in the world to domesticate horses. These animals were central to their culture, their economy, and their spirituality. The horse wasn't just a mode of transport, It was a symbol of power, a sacred animal. Finding these depictions right on the pyramid walls gives us a direct link to their belief system. Inside the complex, the discoveries get even more fascinating. Archaeologists have found pottery, gold earrings, and other jewelry, hinting that this wasn't just a monument, but likely a burial site for a powerful ruler or a high-ranking elite. The pyramid itself seems to be the centerpiece of a larger necropolis, a city of the dead, dedicated to the most important figures of their society. Think of it as a Bronze Age Valley of the Kings, right in the heart of Central Asia. The leader buried here must have been a figure of immense importance, someone who commanded a huge amount of resources and manpower to construct such a magnificent tomb. The hexagonal design is particularly intriguing. Why 6 sides? Some theories suggest it could be related to their understanding of cosmology. Perhaps it represents a connection between the earth and the heavens, or maybe it's linked to a solar calendar. The precision of the angles and the layout of the entire complex suggest a deep knowledge of astronomy. They were likely tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. And this pyramid was their celestial observatory and sacred temple, all rolled into one. The structure is oriented with remarkable accuracy to the cardinal points, further strengthening this idea. Let's talk about the people who built it. Andhra Novo culture, flourishing from about 2000 to 900 BCE. These were a group of Indo-Iranian peoples who dominated the steppes. They were pioneers. They developed advanced bronze metallurgy, which gave them superior tools and weapons. They were expert horsemen, which gave them mobility and a military edge. And as this pyramid proves, they were also capable of monumental construction projects. This discovery forces us to rethink our traditional view of steppe cultures as purely nomadic. Clearly, they had settled centers of power, where they could organize large-scale labor and express their cultural and religious ideas on a grand scale. The excavation is still ongoing, and every day brings new questions and potential answers. The team is using modern techniques like ground-penetrating radar to map what still lies beneath the surface, without disturbing the site unnecessarily. They're hoping to find an unlooted central burial chamber. If they do, the treasures and information inside could be priceless. It would give us an unparalleled glimpse into the life, death, and beliefs of a Bronze Age king or queen. We could find out what they wore, what weapons they carried, and what offerings they took with them to the afterlife. This Kazakh pyramid is more than just an old building. It's a piece of a puzzle that connects different parts of the ancient world. It shows that advanced civilization wasn't confined to the river valleys of the Nile, the Tigris, or the Indus. Sophisticated societies with complex social structures and grand ambitions existed in places we least expected. It highlights the ingenuity and adaptability of our ancestors, who could create such incredible structures in a harsh and challenging environment. What do you think? Does this discovery change how you see the ancient world? What other secrets do you think the Eurasian steppes are hiding? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about this incredible find. It is discoveries like this that make history so exciting. It is A story that is constantly being rewritten, with new chapters being unearthed all the time. Have you ever heard of the cloud and rain spirits of the Australian Kimberley? Let's journey to the rugged, ancient landscapes of northwestern Australia, a place that holds one of the world's most mysterious and spiritually significant art forms. This is the story of the Wanji, found exclusively in the Kimberley region. Wandjina rock art is not just paint on a rock face, it's a living tradition, a sacred record stretching back thousands of years. The figures are breathtaking and unique. They are large, anthropomorphic beings, often painted in white, black, and red ochre. Their most striking feature: they have no mouths. According to the beliefs of the Wara and Wanambal peoples, the traditional custodians, these powerful spirits brought law, culture, and creation to the land. Giving them a mouth would make them too powerful, capable of unleashing catastrophic storms and perpetual rain. Their power is immense, and it must be respected. Look at these figures. Their heads are often encircled by a hela-like band, which represents the clouds and lightning they command. Their eyes are huge, black, and commanding, staring out from the rock as if watching over the land and its people. They are often depicted without limbs or with very simple ones, emphasizing their otherworldly nature. They aren't humans. They are something far greater. These paintings are a direct link to the dream time, the foundational period of creation in Aboriginal spirituality. The Wandjina are believed to have created the landscape, the sea, the animals, and the people. After their work was done, they descended into the rock walls, where their spirits reside to this day. Unlike many other forms of ancient rock art that are left to fade with time, the Wandjina paintings are actively maintained. Designated custodians from the local Aboriginal communities have the responsibility, passed down through generations, to repaint and refresh these sites. This act of repainting is a sacred ritual. It's about re-energizing the spirits, ensuring their continued presence and protection. By tracing the outlines and reapplying the ochre, the custodians reaffirm their connection to the Wandjina, the land, and their ancestors. This makes the tradition one of the oldest continuous sacred painting movements in the world. It's a living, breathing art form. The location of these galleries is just as important as the art itself. They are found in caves and rock shelters, places of power and refuge. These sites are often near water sources, reinforcing the Wandjina's connection to rain and life-giving water. For the local communities, these aren't just art galleries. They are sacred sanctuaries, places for ceremonies, storytelling, and connecting with the spiritual realm. Access to these sites is often restricted, managed by the traditional owners to protect their sanctity and prevent desecration. The style of Wandjina art is consistent, yet you can see variations and developments over time. Some paintings depict single, powerful figures, while others show groups or scenes with animals and other spirit beings, like the Guyong figures, another style of rock art often found alongside the Wandjina. These compositions tell complex stories about creation, law, and social structure. For example, some paintings show the Wandjina interacting with snakes, particularly the rainbow serpent, another major creator spirit in Aboriginal mythology. These visual narratives are textbooks of culture, passed down through millennia. So, how old are they? Dating rock art is notoriously difficult, but scientists have used various methods to estimate the age of these paintings. Some of the oldest layers could be up to 4,000 years old. But remember, the tradition is continuous. A painting you see today might have been repainted just a few years ago, covering layers upon layers of previous work. This ritualistic repainting makes it a dynamic record of cultural continuity, not a static relic of the past. The vibrant white pigment used for the bodies comes from a specific type of clay, while the red and yellow are ochres, and the black is often made from manganese or charcoal. The spiritual significance of the Wandjina is profound. They are not just creators, they are also enforcers of the law. They watch over the people, and if laws are broken, the Wandjina can punish offenders with floods, lightning, and cyclones. They're the ultimate guardians of social and natural order. This belief reinforces the deep respect for the environment and the intricate system of laws that govern Aboriginal society. The Wandjina's gaze is a constant reminder of responsibility and accountability. In recent times, the Wandjina have become powerful symbols of Aboriginal culture and identity on a global stage. Artists like the late Mwanjam painter Aled Mingal Manganu brought Wandjina imagery from the rock walls to bark and canvas, sharing their culture with the world. This contemporary art movement has been crucial for cultural survival and economic empowerment for the Kimberley communities. It allows them to tell their own stories in their own way, while also educating a wider audience about the depth and beauty of their traditions. When you see a Wandjina painting in a gallery, you're not just looking at a piece of art. You're looking at a piece of living history, a sacred icon that represents a deep connection to country and creation. However, this increased visibility comes with challenges. The protection of these ancient rock art sites is a major concern. Climate change, feral animals, tourism, and industrial development all pose threats to these fragile galleries. The traditional owners work tirelessly with conservation agencies to protect these sacred places. It's a delicate balance between sharing their culture and safeguarding its most sacred expressions. That's why understanding the story behind the art is so important. It fosters respect and encourages responsible tourism and appreciation. The Wangina are more than just paintings. They are the embodiment of a spiritual worldview that sees the land, the people, and the creator spirits as interconnected. They are a testament to the resilience and continuity of the world's oldest living culture. From the ancient rock shelters of the Kimberley to the contemporary art galleries of the world, the silent, mouthless gaze of the Wangina continues to watch over the land, carrying the stories of creation and the laws of life. Their power is palpable, their presence undeniable. They are the eternal spirits of the clouds and the rain.